To answer the question in the title, yes, these things are abso-freaking-lutely worth buying even if they aren't the greatest decks ever made. According to PokeBeach and Best Buy, the Marnie and Steven Rival Battle decks will be released on May 16th for $15 USD each. Before I even show you the deck list, this means you can get 2 full decks for a total of $30. Yeah, these Rival Battle decks have a play level of 2 rather than the 3 we see with $30 lead battle decks, but the value is so good that it doesn't matter. And in case you haven't noticed it poking out like a super rod in an old sleeve, each deck includes a promo illustration rare. Marnie gets Morpeko, while Steven gets Beldum. So for $15, you get a full 60-card deck, a special promo, a deck box, playmat, and coin, 2 Pokemon EX, and a whole bunch of staple trainer cards. If you haven't already tried to pre-order these, do it now. While the Dragapult EX Lead Battle deck released on April 25th is definitely more competitive and it's only $30, that's probably going to sell out faster than the life-size Lopunny doll the Pokemon Company will definitely make after seeing the popularity of the Gardevoir one. And if you think calling it a love doll is wrong, you clearly didn't read the part about it having bendable arms. Anyways, I've Cerule-edged you long enough. Here's the 60 cards you get inside the Marnie Rival Battle deck. Unfortunately, the Pokemon featured in both decks are limited to their respective trainer, meaning the power level isn't quite where you want it to be. Marnie has a 4-3-2 line of Grimmsnarl EX, a 2-1 Scrafty, a 2-2 Liepard, and 2 Morpeko. Sadly, the Scrafty and Liepard aren't great. Scrafty dealing 160 damage and Liepard dealing 70 or 140 to EXs just isn't enough in this day and age. Luckily, Grimmsnarl EX and Morpeko create a great little combo. When you evolve into Grimmsnarl, it accelerates 5 Darkness Energy from your deck to your Marnie's Pokemon however you want. Morpeko does damage based on the amount of Darkness Energy attached to it. So put 5 energy on Morpeko and it's dealing 220 damage, enough to one-shot a lot of basic 2-prizers in the game. As this thing's only $15, you're missing quite a few cards to make Marnie playable. I mean, $15 was the price of theme decks back when they existed, and these 2 rival battle decks are a step up from those. So while both of these are great starting points for new players or anyone wanting to build a Marnie or Steven deck, out of the box Marnie is lacking. I'll potentially go in depth on upgrades for the Marnie deck closer to release since there's still 100 unknown cards coming in our May set. For now though, you should think about buying 1 Grimmsnarl EX, 1 Pecharunt EX, 1 Munkidori, 1 Pheasantipede EX, and 2 Binding Mochi to instantly improve the deck. Moving to Steven, just like Marnie, the only Pokemon you'll find belong to him. It's a 4-3-2 line of Metagross EX, 2 Skarmory, a 2-2 Claydol, and 1 Carbink. The trainer spread is almost identical between the two, giving you Professor's Research, Ino, Drayton, and Boss's Orders as supporters, with a few other helpful items and stadiums thrown in. Steven's entire strategy revolves around Metagross EX. Once during your turn, it can grab a Psychic and Metal Energy from your deck, then attach them to your Psychic or Metal Pokemon however you want. Unlike Marnie, all of his Pokemon are playable. While Claydol does discard all attached energy, 220 is a great number. And you can always shuffle that energy back into the deck with Energy Recycler. Skarmory, meanwhile, is only useful if you attack twice, as most basic Pokemon these days have 70 hit points. Otherwise, it can be useful in cleaning up KOs you may have missed with Metagross or Claydol. Another benefit of Steven's archetype is damage reduction. Both Carbink and Granite Cave reduce the damage his Pokemon take by 30. Get both down, they're taking 60 less. So if your opponent can't do 400 damage with a single attack, you don't really have to worry about Metagross getting one-shot. If I had to recommend one of these decks, I'd say Steven is the better option. Steven's Metagross EX also has better long-term viability than Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, as Metagross can attach to any Psychic or Metal Pokemon, while Grimmsnarl is limited to Marnie's Pokemon. Regardless, you can't really go wrong with either because, again, it's a full deck for $15. If you're looking to upgrade Steven's deck, it's not that difficult, though it could be a tad expensive. A really good partner is Lily's Clefairy EX, which comes out in Journey Together later this month. Problem is, it's one of the best cards in the set. Throw in some Clefairy plus Lily's Pearl and you'd end up with a strong deck. Add in Mew EX to the mix and you have a draw Pokemon plus another good attacker. You don't necessarily need a third Metagross EX, which helps save some money. Realistically, just worry about finding good Psychic and Metal type attackers to pair with Metagross and go from there. One neat thing about these decks being revealed is that we now know more about Destined Rivals, our next English set releasing on May 29th in Pokemon TCG Live. As you can kinda see on the back of the box, the new cards in the Steven and Marnie decks will come from Destined Rivals. Not only that, Destined Rivals will have either 182 or 187 cards in the main set, meaning it will comprise of the cards from these decks, plus Japan's Heatwave Arena and Japan's Glory of Team Rocket, which we'll know more about in a month. As for whether or not you should buy the rival battle decks on Pokemon TCG Live for credit farming, we'll have to wait and see. Since they aren't lead battle decks, I can only assume they'll cost 600 trainer points, rather than the typical 1,250 for the LBDs. And because we won't know the rarities of each card for another month or two, I can only go off my years of expert Pokemon TCG knowledge to come up with potential numbers. If my math is correct, which it definitely isn't, buying either of these rival battle decks when you already own 4 copies of every card on PTCGL will net you 1,730 trade credits. Now, ever since they added shop limits to TCG Live, it's completely thrown the entire economy out of whack because they hate us. I barely know what's going on anymore, and I've been playing this thing for over 3 years. But putting it in correlation with the lead battle decks and assuming each Marnie and Steven deck is those 600 trainer points, meaning 2 of them equals 1 lead battle deck, then they're actually okay for credit farming. Until you remember that there's a shop limit of 4, and you can only buy 4 for the price of 2 lead battle decks, and you have to own 4 copies of all the cards in those decks to get maximum value, so using them for credit farming as a brand new player is terrible, but veteran players can use them for a bit of a boost, except, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. Yes, the economy in TCG Live is one of the craziest things a human being has ever created. If I had to say whether you should save your trainer points for them for credit farming, the answer is no. But if Marnie and Steven happen to get some really busted cards they can use in Destined Rivals, maybe buying one isn't a bad idea to help save on trade credits. Yeah, the last minute of this video was definitely a bunch of words strung together. God, I hate live. In conclusion, should you buy the Marnie and Steven rival battle decks when they come out physically on May 16th? Absolutely. At just $15 each, they're great ways to get into the TCG for new players, offering up viable decks that you can build upon to learn the game. Steven's does seem a lot better out of the box, but you can buy one of each and beat off a friend for just $15. As for TCG Live, please don't make me think about numbers again. Let me know your thoughts about the decks in the comments, or simply type the word feet in the comments to let me know you made it this far in the video. YouTube will probably mark it as spam and I'll never actually see it, but I'll still feel it in my soul. Get it? My soul? Because feet have souls.